Welcome to episode 35 of Comic Book Nation, the official podcast of Comicbook.com. I'm your host, Kofi Outlaw, and with me once again is my co-host, Matthew Aguilar.
What up, what up?
And today we've brought back the prodigal son. He's returned home once again from out doing secret things that we can't tell you about yet, but here he is today. Mr. Brandon Davis is back on the couch.
Hello.
So, today,
What an intro.
we got a lot to do because summer's officially here, and it's time to start talking about things as we get on the road up to Comic-Con and all our summer blockbuster movies. And today we're pretty much going to be delving into the rumor mill because we haven't really dipped into the rumor mill here in a little bit to talk about, you know, what's being said about some big upcoming Marvel movies and what we want to see versus don't want to see. But yeah, there's going to be a fair amount of opinion in this episode because once we talk about some of these rumors, we're also going to give you guys a breakdown of our rants and raves, which is where we pick the things that we've been watching and or reading and either rant or rave about it in the hopes of turning you guys on to some new stuff. So, here we go. We're going to get started, jump right in, and the first thing we're going to talk about is the news show coming from DC Universe this week, which is Swamp Thing. Doom Patrol has wrapped up. And now we're getting to the next DC Universe series, which is Swamp Thing. And we've gotten like a big official trailer for it. We've gotten first reviews for it. And so far things are looking and sounding pretty good about Swamp Thing. This is going to be a very kind of horror-themed DC live-action TV show about the Swamp Thing character. And so far, like I said, trailers have looked pretty solid. And I think the surprising thing has been that the reviews for the show have been pretty strong. So it's at 92% at Rotten Tomatoes at the time of talking about this on the podcast.
Impressive.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive, right? And especially for DC. I mean, anytime you see something like that, I mean, you got to sit up and take.
Well, I mean, Doom Patrol was well reviewed too, right?
Yeah, Doom Patrol was well reviewed. I mean, and this is my larger point that I was going to get to. It's like, I feel like how much I was going to ask first. I was going to do this in steps. So, are you guys anticipating Swamp Thing at all? Are you guys planning to watch this at all?
It looks like Shrek and The Walking Dead had a baby.
And there you go. We're going right to hot takes right off the bat.
You know what it looks like? It reminds me of. Did anyone play Alan Wake? It has a very Alan Wake vibe.
My God. What are these co-hosts
It's a video
today?
game.
I know what it is.
It has a very Alan Wake vibe. That's all. Like, it's not a bad thing. I like
so
Alan
far
Wake.
we got.
No, I think it looks good.
So if you've been hoping for the Shrek Walking Dead baby that reminds you a little bit of Alan Wake, I guess you're in
I've been
luck.
waiting for it for so long. No, it looks good. It looks good. The reviews are good. Will I watch it? Probably not.
Yeah, have you been in on? I don't think you've been in on any of these DC
I watched
Universe
Titans.
shows.
Yeah, Titans.
How much of it?
He didn't
enough.
like Titans.
Enough.
Well, I liked it.
Did you like it?
I thought Titans was good. I don't really.
Titans.
It's just an overload. I don't.
Too much content.
There's
not
DC
enough.
movies. I don't need DC TV shows. I don't watch the Marvel TV shows.
And there you go.
Wow, that's a lie. I watch the Netflix
From
shows.
our ambassador of 4-star DC movies, no DC TV shows.
Look, Titans was good. I never watched Doom Patrol. I saw one of these really weird scenes from it on Twitter, like when that guy was flexing and all the.
Flex Mentallo when they all had orgasms? Yeah.
Well, I was like, wait, what?
I mean, that's just a typical day in Doom Patrol.
But it was, yeah. And
Was
then
it
part of me was like, wait, I should be
genderqueer
watching this.
street?
And then the
Like,
rest of
yeah.
me was like, well, maybe I dodged a bullet. But then everybody's like, oh, it's really good. Swamp Thing, maybe I'll watch it. Cool.
I will
And this
watch
is a good
it.
sampling because this is why I'm asking you. I'm not setting you up. I mean, I'm always setting you up. It's always a trap. But, like, why I'm asking is because, yeah, these shows have been well received. I mean, by the fan base and typically critically reviewed. I mean, Doom Patrol was probably the most critically acclaimed. Titans managed to overcome a lot of stigma and gain a lot of fan acclaim. And it's just like DC Universe has actually been killing it on the live action series front.
Yeah, well, they're on DC Universe. so-
Exactly, and that's kind of the catch-22 of this whole thing.
I'll
It's
watch
like-
them right before Comic-Con when I'm going to do interviews.
Dang.
Well, there you go. There you go, kids. There's a non-jaded and very, very non-cynical.
You can't watch everything. You don't-
Non-cynical
tell
look
me-
at the
tell me
industry we work in.
You watch everything that you do.
I mean, I'm a bad example because I do literally. I mean, you see me sitting
Yeah,
there
he
watching
really
everything.
does.
Oh well,
Like,
I focus on
He
my work
watches
while I'm
new
at my
stuff
desk.
and old stuff.
I don't
like
have.
30
That's
years
the difference,
ago.
though.
Yeah.
That is the difference. Most of the people who work here have one of their computer screens is dedicated to watching something all day, and I don't do. I don't. I mean, not.
Yeah, I mean, it's
that's
all,
fine.
yeah.
I'm not criticizing you for it. I'm just pointing it out. I don't watch things here. I just kind of.
I mean, I have to. I just don't physically have enough time to absorb all the things I need to absorb to like write about.
I'm okay
I
when
would
you
be
watch
better
other
for
stuff.
it. I would be better if I watched more things. I know that.
I'm okay
I'm like a
when you
Swiss
watch
Army man too. Like
When you watch other stuff instead of the Joker trailer over and over and over again.
I watched.
Well, I
Titans
memorized it now,
because
so
of the
now it lives in
premiere.
my head.
And then the It trailer.
Yeah.
It was like 2 weeks. It was the Joker trailer, and then it was the It trailer behind.
No, but I mean, I'm
going
a
all the
Swiss
time.
Army man. I gotta watch everything. I gotta be able
But
to.
you're
write-
telling me you've never had a show or a movie where you're like, I guess I'll watch it, but then
I mean, I
interviews
think
come
live
up.
action Disney films
but-
are for losers, but that's it.
Then interviews come up and you're like, all right, I'm going to binge this really quickly so I know what I'm talking about in these interviews.
Wow.
You've never done that?
Me?
You've never done that?
I wouldn't say that I wouldn't. I'd say that I generally have a breadth of knowledge that encompasses
sure. I mean, I
all
have a
my
breadth of
interviews.
knowledge about-
I need no study. I'm like our
Oh,
president. I
shut
just
up.
come ready.
Oh,
I've been
shut
preparing
up.
for this all my
You
life.
have all the words.
done.
I have all the best words.
You have
And
all
if
the
you
best
have any
words.
caveats with that,
I'm out.
you can kiss
You
my
watch
butt.
all
Anyway.
the footage last minute.
Yeah, all footage, last
cafe
minute
thing.
footage. All right, but
out.
so that's my point. Is like, yeah, DC Universe has been kind of like doing a good job, but is it going to be enough? I mean, we've already heard possible production problems with Swamp Thing, and
Even
I
if
really,
the show's great, are people going to... How many people have to subscribe to DC Universe for it to be considered a success?
I
And
mean,
how many
we
people
were.
are
I mean,
actually
this is
gonna
what
do
we're
that?
talking about. I mean, we're all saying the same thing, which is that yeah, these shows are great, but it doesn't seem like the platform itself is strong enough.
I don't
to
want
hold them.
another streaming service.
Neither
I
do
can't
I.
even
mean,
keep up
they've-
with my
I
bills
wish
from
there would
streaming
just be some
services.
kind of second run they could get, so they could get.
I mean,
some
I
kind of-
imagine though it'll fold into Warner Brothers streaming service.
But that's
whenever
still
that
not
launches.
a good. That's still that's
No.
not enough.
No,
Like,
you
why?
got. Look, you're telling me
Why is that not
Netflix?
Yeah,
Everyone
because
has a
Warner
Netflix
Brothers. I
subscription.
don't predict Warner Brothers will be popular enough to kind of like to really sustain these. I wish that after like 6 months of them being on DC Universe, they would just dump them on Netflix to get people at least more aware.
Yeah, but then people won't. Like I think in theory that works. I don't.
But
know
at
if
least
in
they're
practice
watching
that
them.
I
works.
think. I mean, I think there's. It's arguable if you were to give enough of a sample group like Titans and Doom Patrol, so that they could watch both and say, I like both of these shows coming from this one service, and if they're like superhero
look at
fans,
the
it might
success of
incentivize
Umbrella
them
Academy.
to do it. So like, yeah,
Umbrella Academy was really good, and it was on Netflix, so it got popular.
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, yeah, we're just kind of
Titans was really good. Nobody knows it exists.
exactly, and that's what I'm saying.
We all do. We
I
all
was gonna say,
obviously,
I
and
know.
everybody who's listening.
Listen,
to
Captain
this.
Obvious, we're saying the same thing. Yes, like, they need to get on a bigger platform, and that's what I'm saying.
I
Like,
disagree with both of you, and I want to say the same thing that you guys said.
Oh my god. Okay.
Hold on. I want to hear how you think the Warner Brothers streaming service platform is big enough for these shows to keep getting made.
Me? No, I was being facetious.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
I was
We're shutting
saying
this
the
one
same
down,
thing.
moving around. Well, Swamp Thing is coming out this Friday.
I'm just so used to
And if
us
you
fighting.
haven't signed on to DC Universe, but you've been on the fence, all three of you, like, yeah, there's some shows worth checking out. So be aware, Swamp Thing's coming. Because if you like superheroes and horror, like I
Stargirl's
do,
coming. I'm
and
excited for
Stargirl's coming
Stargirl.
after that. So
It's gonna be good.
The show looks
right.
good. It's probably really good.
yeah. All right, moving right along. Let's get into some rumors. We're going to talk some Marvel rumors because there's been a kind of a bunch of them floating around. I mean, there's a ton of them after Avengers Endgame, but let's talk about some of the ones we've been coming up on. First, let's talk Guardians of the Galaxy 3. There's fan art always circulating out there all the time, and Guardians 3 is now back on track. James Gunn is back. We're coming up to this in 2021. The movie will be out. And there's some dangling threads in that franchise. One of the biggest ones, of course, has been Adam Warlock, the creation of Adam Warlock, which happens at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2. But we've all been kind of waiting to see how Warlock's going to make his MCU debut. And people have begun throwing out fan art left and right, saying who should be. Recently, we got Zac Efron, a picture of Zac Efron as Adam Warlock.
Who's been attached to almost every
I
character.
know. People will
feel like at some
keep
point.
loving it to toss him out. Alexander Skarsgård is Adam Warlock, some fan art. And Nikolaj Coster-Waldau from Game of Thrones. Jamie Lannister on Game of Thrones, yeah, as the other one. So I was kind of thinking about this because the Adam Warlock thing is something I've been thinking about a lot. It's something that, is a big question still hanging over the MCU. There's been all these teases of it going up until now. But of that bunch, I actually kind of like Jamie Lannister the best, as I think he would be a good Adam Warlock. So I was kind of interested to hear what you guys thought, and of course, you guys listening, what you guys thought.
I agree that Nikolai Coster-Waldau would be a good Adam Warlock. However, I don't want it to happen because I think he would be a better Richard Rider.
Oh, okay.
I would like to see Nikolai Coster-Waldau as Rich Rider. I think he might, yeah, sure, tell me he's too old. Shut up. He'd be good. I think he'd be good as Richard Rider, and then we just transition into Sam Alexander inevitably, but I think he should be Nova. But I think if not, I think he'd be a good Adam Warlock, far better than Zac Efron. Although I don't mean that as a jab at Zac Efron. I think he's a talented actor. I think you saw him as Ted Bundy if you watched.
I just don't think that's the right
movie.
part for him.
No, he's too funny. And he can be dramatic, but I mean, I don't know that he would match a tone in a James Gunn movie like that. You know what I mean?
I kind of like Skarsgård.
I think
I'm
he's
fine with it.
Yeah, Skarsgård looks the part, definitely.
Yeah.
I just thought,
Especially when he's
Waldau has more of the personality that I would kind of associate with Adam Warlock, but Skarsgård definitely looks the part.
And it's also I guess the biggest thing, whoever they cast, because I kind of trust them at this point with casting. They've pretty much knocked most of these castings out of the park.
What's the worst? There isn't any bad Marvel casting, really. It's not so few, if you can even think of one.
I can't really think of one off the top of my head that stands out.
I'm sure there's one somewhere, but
Yeah,
it's not,
I mean,
it's
I'm
not
sure
hidden.
yeah, I mean, yeah.
But like, you know, I'm interested though to see what direction they go with Warlock, because Warlock, if not handled correctly, is about as boring as paste. Like, he's just a blank slate. So I mean, that's why I'm actually very happy that Gunn is the one that was kind of handling that character and that side. I do also kind of think there's a little bit of miss the boat, because we dealt with one of Warlock's biggest storylines,
The Infinity Stones.
already, and so introducing him kind of after what would typically have been like someone's opening salvo is kind of like, huh. So I'm
But it would be interesting if he just shows up and like he has the Soul Stone on his head.
Yeah, you know, and then you can deal in the mystery of that and,
Yeah,
and go
exactly.
explore it. So
Maybe
I'm
he'll-
more excited to see what he does with them. But I think any of those, aside from Efron,
I mean,
but
it'd
I
be
agree.
interesting
I
also
like
to tie that story to like the search for Gamora or like
Yeah.
what happened to her and all that stuff. Anyway, but so that was one. Adam Warlock. That's our first Marvel rumor. So kind of.
It's gotta be coming. When do you think that
Would you be
casting's gonna come out?
okay if they kind of flipped it and made somebody like Zac Efron, Sam Alexander?
Oh, I think
Hell no.
he could totally play Sam.
Hell no.
They old
First
like,
of all,
age him
no,
up
no,
a little bit.
No. First of all, Sam Alexander is not a white character, so you can't do that to begin with.
That's what I said. Would you be? That's why I was asking kind of specifically.
Oh, that's
No.
That's right.
Just stop it right there.
Didn't even think about it from
See?
that angle. Yeah,
See?
Stop it right there.
that's a good
White
point.
guys, adjusting to the new reality. Good man.
I think I may have said that on this podcast before. I think you should do a story where Richard Rider is Sam Alexander's dad, and you could have his dad.
No,
be a
I
white
agree
dude,
with you. I'm just
and
messing
that's
with you,
fine.
but,
But I think you should. The Nova movie should be Sam Alexander
35 episodes. Is a
searching
lot.
for his dad.
I mean, 35 episodes podcast is a lot. If we,
If we get canceled for
we
that
get canceled
joke,
today, I
then
mean,
That's great, though.
we made our mark.
I tried to keep it on the rails.
You
I
did,
know.
and I appreciate
Taking
it.
us right over. So,
I don't do
about that
controversy.
Spider-Man 3. We got Spider-Man Far From Home coming out now, just for a quick
Spider-Man 2.
quick thing. If the bosses are listening, topic change. So, Spider-Man 3. Spider-Man Far From Home is coming out.
This is
and,
what happens when producer Jim
after
Piscardi
that-
is not in the room.
Gone.
After that, we have Spider-Man. There's going to be a third in the Spider-Man Marvel Sony trilogy. And we've been hearing some rumors about things that could happen. The first one we heard was that Deadpool could be joining Spider-Man 3. Now we're hearing that Venom could be joining Spider-Man 3. I don't put a lot of faith in either one of those right now. I think it's all just gobbledygook speculation. But I thought it would be interesting to hear which one of those characters would you rather have in Spider-Man 3. And, I mean, Brandon Davis, it got slightly heated. We were talking about this before the show. It got a little heated in here.
I mean, if the options are Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool or Tom Hardy's Venom, like how is that? How is there any question that you'd want Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool? Oh, like obviously over Tom Hardy's Venom. Tom Hardy's Venom was not a good movie.
but Tom Hardy as Venom was really good.
Sure, Tom Hardy as Venom is really good. So okay, so let me pose the same question to you that I posed to the rest of the office earlier today. If Tom Hardy is Eddie Brock in Spider-Man Home the Third, is Venom then a part of my MCU stack of Blu-rays?
No, right?
No.
How?
Because it's not a part of the, like they've come out and said, it's not a part of the MCU.
Yes,
right?
so then if Tom Hardy is Venom in Spider-Man 3, then it is part of the MCU.
I mean, it depends on what Spider-Man 3 is about. If Spider-Man 3 is just a full embracing of this Sony Spider-Man, if Sony's universe of Marvel characters, then
Yeah, I
then
kind of
no.
need more information.
Like, yeah.
If Tom Hardy is Venom and it's a continuation of that story, then yes, that movie is canon to the MCU.
no.
If Venom
How is
if
that?
Venom is in
Because you could play
Far
fast
From
and loose
Home,
with all this.
I
Yeah.
feel like if Venom would be in Far From Home,
That's different.
I could see. Yes, I would assume that
Well, Spider-Man
at that
3
point he
doesn't.
would be
I mean,
in the MCU.
right now, Spider-Man
How does time
Homecoming
make any
because
difference?
I think it's your premise. You're assuming that Spider-Man 3 would be the same as Spider-Man Homecoming and Spider-Man Far From Home, in that it has these heavy MCU connections that are undeniable. Tony Stark's in Homecoming, Iron Man and the loss of Iron Man is the basis for
Okay.
Far From Home. But Spider-Man 3 doesn't necessarily have to do that.
It's an MCU movie.
yeah,
It's a
kind
continuation of a story within the MCU.
We're
Kind
assuming.
of. We're assuming.
We're assuming.
Yeah.
Well,
that's
sure,
not
if you
necessarily
recast
true.
Tom Holland and you have a different Spider-Man.
No, you
and
can
it's
still use
No, they're still
Tom
going to use
Holland.
Tom.
Yeah.
I mean, at some point,
Where, I don't understand how you guys are going where you're going with this.
I'm saying Marvel has played fast and loose with this all the time. So there's not like an Incredible Hulk is part of the MCU. Nothing about Incredible Hulk.
Thaddeus Ross.
Okay, so that one character,
But the events of that film are part of the MCU.
kind of,
100%.
kind of.
100% the events
they've
of that
cut-
film
They're
are...
never referenced again. They have no.
I destroyed
impact.
Harlem.
But didn't
Last time I was in New York, I destroyed half of
That's a
Harlem.
line.
It's a line. It's-
the Abomination
Thaddeus
has done
Ross.
nothing. The Leader has done nothing.
doesn't
Betty
matter.
Ross has done nothing. Those
Okay,
are all major
all right.
things
So
that were
listen.
just
No. My
jettisoned.
point is not that you have to go back and watch it, and it's not an incredibly integral part of the MCU, but it is 100% in the history of the MCU.
and they've acknowledged it, right? Marvel.
They have acknowledged it.
Exactly.
The canon has acknowledged
Have
it.
they acknowledged Venom?
No.
Okay.
So, but Tom Hardy's Venom is not in the MCU.
My
so if
point
he
is, like, why are we pretending that Marvel can't pick and choose, like, what becomes the full canon of the MCU
great.
versus what
That-
doesn't?
No, look. You can put if you put Tom Hardy's Venom in Spider-Man 3, I'm not saying they're going to sit here and say, well, when I was in San Francisco, I did this, this, and that, and then I bit a dude's head off at a convenience store, and I told him his head was going to roll down the street like a turd. No, you don't need to reference it like that. But if you have the same actor playing the same character who's been in a movie before, join the MCU, debut in the MCU, then his story is a part of the MCU. How is that not true?
Okay, sure, fine, semantics. Yes,
That's very simple.
I think it's not. I don't understand what your point in all this is. I'm just telling you yes because it seems like you really want a yes.
I don't. I don't.
So
I can't
so
understand
what's
your
the
argument.
problem if it is?
Venom's not a good movie. And my question then is, do I have to put Venom in my stack of MCU movies? Like if I'm watching the MCU in chronological order, where I watch The Incredible Hulk before I watch
I mean, if you're a
Endgame.
neurotic freak, sure.
Yeah,
like
watch
if you're
The
a
Incredible
neurotic
Hulk.
freak who can't.
The Incredible
make
Hulk
these
is
decisions-
look when the Russo brothers did their countdown to Endgame. The
What is
Incredible
your
Hulk was on their
point to
countdown.
all of this?
Is Venom then a part of that? Is the Venom movie then a part of that?
Okay, and I've said yes. What,
Okay.
So then what?
You went back to it. I'm done.
So then what's
I'm-
the point of that? So what's the point of all
It's a
this?
crap movie, and I don't want to see it in the MCU.
Okay, there we go. So it's just your opinion.
So-
All right.
But I would like to see Tom. I think Tom Hardy as Venom is fun. I could see him do more. If they find an interesting way to put it in the MCU, fine. I'll forgive the bad movie. It's not the worst movie ever.
So your whole thing is basically, if I'm just tracking this right, I don't want Venom in Spider-Man 3 because I don't want Venom in my MCU.
I was just curious. I don't. If you make Venom more interesting and better, you give him better stories. Fine, I can forgive it. Then you can make Venom a part of the MCU. No franchises has the MCU already has bad movies within it.
I mean, yeah.
So-
So back to the original question though, which was who would you rather see?
Yeah, I would like to see Venom.
I would
think
rather
it would
see
be
Venom.
Yeah,
I don't know. I
I think it would be.
But only because
I think Tom Holland would be great playing off Tom Hardy talking to himself.
I like that. But also, I'm just more honestly, to be honest, mine comes from not even quality, because if we're talking quality, Deadpool's a better movie.
Yeah.
But I don't want to see that mashup of characters on screen. I'm more interested in seeing Venom because Venom is already a part of the Spider-Man mythos. I'm invested in that.
That's fair.
I'm not invested in seeing two dudes wisecrack each other because I've seen that in the comics and it's fun. But I don't want to see it.
I've seen Venom in a Spider-Man 3 before, and it didn't go well.
Sure. I would love to see these two
Yeah,
interpretations of those characters.
A fully formed Venom.
It would be better. There's no denying.
More than Deadpool.
Look, Tom Hardy's Venom was the best part of Venom, and that's obviously a huge part of it. The narrative of that film, 1991, it would have been good.
I have no idea what your point is. You're like a walking Twitter.
I'd rather see Ryan Reynolds. I'd rather see Ryan Reynolds.
All right. Final question. Walking Dead star possibly coming
We
to the
haven't even gotten
MCU.
to the news segment.
I mean, this is the news segment. Like, Walking Dead star possibly coming to the MCU. David Morrissey, who played the governor.
Never heard of her.
Who would you like to see
Just
him
kidding.
play?
Big fan.
Oh, we didn't even talk about Guardians 3. We didn't even talk about Mark Hamill possibly playing Star Wars. Mark Hamill possibly playing the High Evolutionary. Real quick, yes or no?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, sure. All right, moving right along. Walking Dead star David Morrissey coming to the MCU.
It's not like he has much work.
Who
in
would
Star
you
Wars.
like to see the governor play?
R.I.P. Luke Hamill.
I was trying to think of. I was trying to think of
Skywalker.
this.
Yeah, I mean, me
the whole
too.
time.
I have no idea.
cannot place because I know he would be perfect for somebody. I
Yeah,
cannot.
David Morrissey
use
is
it.
so talented.
Yeah.
He really is. I mean, he's been talented ever since I saw him in whatchamacallit, Basic Instinct 2. Yeah, man. Like, real talented actor.
Maybe he could be.
No, seriously, he is real talented in Basic Instinct 2. If you've never seen
I know.
Basic
It's
Instinct
just-
2,
I can never
it's a whole
tell.
movie where he's like investigating Sharon Stone's character, but it turns out he's a serial killer at the end.
I just can't.
It's really
tell
good.
when you're being sincere and when you're not being sincere. 'Cause
There
you have
is
the
there's
same
no-
face.
there-
You have the same face
See,
for both.
your mistake is ever assuming I'm one or the other, and not both all the time.
Who could he play?
That's my question to you, Walking Dead
I
guy.
mean, I guess he could play Nova. I'm just gonna always say Nova.
You hear the silence that just followed that?
Like he's.
If anybody can't see the video of this, me and Matt's faces when you just said that.
I'm trying to think of who he could play of characters who. I'm just
I know.
thinking of characters who they might be including soon.
I have no idea. Like, hearing this rumor, I mean, he's really talented. In Hollywood's never that creative with casting, so I figure it's somebody who sat down and watched The Walking Dead, and The Walking Dead people obviously watch Basic Instinct
think he's
too.
a villain.
So, like, yeah. I mean, like, when I saw him cast as a governor, I was like, yep, somebody up there was trying to get some porn, or trying to get their jollies off Basic Instinct too, and we're like, well, I don't know if that movie's erotic, but this guy is really talented, and that's how we got the governor. So if somebody watched the governor and it's like, this guy would be really good. So you assume he's going to be somebody that's, like, can look normal on the surface, but is, like, really crazy as hell underneath. Like, who would that be in the MCU at this point?
Okay, so I have a pick, but it's going to be weird. And it doesn't matter now because they've already got somebody for that. But I think he would be a great Cletus Cassidy.
Do they have some money for that?
Yeah, I think what's his name?
There's some guy in a wig we saw.
Yeah, he
once.
would have been
We don't
really
know who's
good
under that
Cletus
wig.
Cassidy.
Because of that whole thing of like he can be very
He would've-
subverting, like
Yeah.
subvertly creepy, so to speak.
Yeah.
He can turn that up in a scene, and to see him work some.
Ironically, I
Dr.
can see
Doom.
him. Yeah, Dr. Doom.
Be a good one too.
But a lot of people have said they want Waldow as Dr. Doom, which I think is brilliant too. Like,
So basically,
Lannister,
everybody
Dr.
we've
Doom
talked
would
to,
be great.
talked about
because he has the
today.
attitude and the voice.
We need everybody we talked to about today in the MCU somewhere, just not in the parts we've talked about.
Yeah, exactly.
That's basically what we're getting.
Well, yeah, that's a good lead-in because I was about to say I could actually see Morrissey being a great high evolutionary, much better than Mark
Can
Hamill.
we make him Kang?
Because the high evolutionary is kind of like,
Kang the Conqueror
Is a
coming
guy-
from the timelines.
ooh, that would be good
Right?
too.
Why don't
Yeah.
we make him Kang?
He would be good Kang because Kang is complex and he can do that.
Oh, he could deal. Okay, there we go.
Yeah, he would be, and he'd be
Could
a
he
great.
play like the weird part
and
of
he'd
it
be
though?
a great Immortus too.
You would know that more than me.
I don't know.
Like
I just
him
hope he has an
playing
eye patch.
Immortus would also be good. Like him playing and him and seeing some of his Kang self talking to his Immortus
Right?
self
It could
would
be
great.
like, I know like a lot of actors, right, look for something to challenge them. This could be kind of a different type of role for him, and he could.
You think he'll get to use his British accent, or will he have to put a Southern accent back on, Governor style?
Kang would totally be British, right? I
Yeah.
can totally see that.
Yeah,
Just
he could
keep
easily be
it. Keep it.
British.
It makes it sound awesome.
Yeah. So all right.
Morrissey is such a he's such a nice guy. Like, have you ever met him?
No, I haven't. I'd be scared. I assume he just creeps me out. Like he's
Dude, he's
really
like a
those
gentle.
characters.
He's like a gentle giant. He's like 6'6", and he's just very
he's
soft.
not
He's
tall.
he's a big individual.
He doesn't
soft
come off that
spoken.
way in the show.
very
but
nice
that makes
guy.
Sense.
No, he always looks like he would be like really have a governor's room full of heads or something like. I don't know. That's surprising, but that's why he's a good actor.
You think you're talking about a real person?
I know. I will tell you the list of actors I'm convinced have a torture and or sex dungeon in their house because there's a
Don't.
few of them.
We made it 35 episodes.
Yeah, I know. We made it. We're getting close to that
off the
syndication
rails.
money. All right.
my
But, all right,
God.
that'll do it for us. If you guys have any kind of comments on these castings for these Marvel movies or the rumors you've heard, please hit us up. # Comic Book Nation. Let us know what you think. All right, stay tuned because when we come back, we are going to rant and or rave about some of the things we've been watching lately and hopefully turn you guys on to or away from them. So be sure to be here for that. All right, so we have it listed out, rants and raves. I got 2 this week. I'm going to just quickly go through mine. Mine, and first thing is I'm going to... Oh my God, I forgot how this works. Oh yeah, rant is the bad one. I'm going to rant about the movie Brightburn. I saw Brightburn last week. We have a full review up on Comicbook.com. I gave it 2.5 out of 5 stars. Oof. Basically, if you don't know about Brightburn, this is a movie made by James Gunn's brother and his cousin, and like it's a whole Gunn family operation. And it's basically the concept of what if Superman had been, evil, basically, as a kid, became evil instead of the hero we know and love. So it's his family raised in Brightburn, Kansas, played by Elizabeth Banks and Roy from The Office. And they find this baby because they can't have one, and they start raising it. But when the kid hits puberty, it's his 12th birthday, his ship comes alive and starts filling his head with all this alien stuff about who he really is, and he goes super psycho. And my problem with Brightburn was, like, we've all had these conversations with, when you were just like a little high school fanboy and you would sit at the lunch table and talk with your friends and all those hypotheticals, like, wouldn't it be crazy if, like, Superman was... And it's literally like one of those conversations come to life, except that people never really had enough deep conversation about it, it feels like, to kind of earn it. Like, why would Superman turn psycho? This movie's kind of weird in that it goes from 0 to 100 real quick. And, like, this kid goes from a normal kid, everyday family, to just being not just a killer Superman, but, like, a sadistic serial killer Superman. Like, there's a lot of scenes of him just toying with victims in, like, really kind of messed up ways. Like, if you've ever seen the diner scene, they released that clip. Like, yeah.
Brutal.
Yeah, it's brutal. And, like, he tortures this lady who turns out to be the mother of his, like, Lana Lang crush, like, in the town, and, like, horribly tortures her in this diner scene. And then, like, spoilers, you find out later, like, he's been torturing her and kills her, like, and so the movie never really feels like it earns these things of this character. Like, this Superman guy had, like, a perfectly loving family, perfectly good. There's all this kind of weird pervy stuff with him and this Lana Lang girl that is, like, the one girl who's nice to him in school. Mm-hmm. And, like, later on he's, like, in her bedroom stalking her at night through the window. He breaks her arm. Like, it's really weird. So it felt kind of thin, hollow, and just, like, trying to illustrate a point without really kind of fleshing it out and earning it. And worse, I feel like there's some ways in which you can misconstrue the film and, like, what's the meaning of this? Because it's easy to kind of look at Brightburn and be like, well, you could see in this day and age how some people might take it as a metaphor for, like, against illegal immigration or something like that. Like, you let these people in, you don't document them.
You fear
like,
are actually worth fearing.
Exactly. And, like, you let people in, you don't document them, you try to do this, but they never adjust to our way of life and they become crazy. Like, So it's a little problematic, but if you're just in it for, like, a matinee or a home video and you just want to see a thing of if Superman was, like, a horror movie killer, I mean, those scenes are cool. They're all in the trailers, so if you haven't seen the trailers, just watch it. But
or go read one of the 8 stories about Superman turning
right,
evil in the
better.
comics that are
better than that. Exactly.
Go read Red Sun.
So, all right, that's my rant. And my rave, and this is going to be a little bit shocking maybe, but my rave is over Memorial Day weekend. TNT played I love marathons over holiday weekends, and TNT played one for the Star Wars for all of the films, the original trilogy, prequel trilogy, and Force Awakens, and also Rogue One they threw in there. So there was a lot of Star Wars in my weekend, and I rewatched the prequel trilogy for the first time in years. And I gotta say, I enjoy the Star Wars prequels trilogy a whole lot more now that time has passed. I'm gonna say that I think Brandon Davis is melting down.
He's already lost. He's already lost it.
Sorry, continue.
Like,
So cute.
Oh my God. Basically, like, time. I think one of the things that's changed is now that when these came out in the early 2000s, like, it was so revolutionary to see this much CGI and, like, artificial stuff and green screen at work, and comparing that to the original Star Wars trilogy felt very disorienting. Because we were used to these practical effects, the puppets, and now this new movie comes out with all this technology. We're still not used to it. Time has passed now, and the Star Wars prequels look old. They look older and dated in the stuff, but that only makes them more endearing because now that they look kind of cheesy and dated, they actually fit better with the original trilogy, which also looks cheesy and dated. You begin to realize, like, all the things we were saying about the acting and stuff in the prequels. Well, if you watch them all together, the acting is never great in any of the Star Wars movies. It's not like Academy Award material. Star Wars A New Hope has a lot of cheesy lines, a lot of cheesy acting, but that's what makes it good. So, if you begin to appreciate that about the prequels, it makes them a whole lot more enjoyable.
Or injectable.
I like
Enjoyable. Shut up.
It's a good
So, I'm going to say this hot take. I think Attack of the Clones might be one of my most favorite Star Wars movies now. Yeah,
that
I like
is a
it.
hot take.
I like it. The mystery of it, it centers around a mystery that's exciting. There's some great fights and some good characters.
I wish we had a microphone in the control room so Rich could
Man.
And
I wish I could hear.
yeah.
Yeah, look at him. He's standing
and
up. He's so happy
episode
right now.
2, I don't think Natalie Portman will ever be more beautiful than episode 2 Natalie Portman, where every scene, every outfit she wears in that movie, just smoke show.
I was quite a fan of her as Jane Foster, but
Yeah, me too. But no, as Amidala in that movie, as Padme, and all the outfits, her costumes, all
I'm
that
just
stuff.
glad. Look, I
It was
haven't
great,
been on the
man.
podcast in a while. I'm glad things are loose around here. This is I like it.
Anyway.
I like it.
Fine, you could give me with the hate, but no, man, I like.
No, I'm
the
complimenting
prequels.
it.
My new prequel order is I love Revenge of the Sith. It's a good movie. Attack of the Clones, I like a lot
Revenge of the
more.
Sith. I like
Phantom Menace still has problems because the young Anakin stuff. I still don't get down with as much, but still cool. So that's my raves. I like the Star Wars prequels a whole lot more. I was a hater for a long time, but you get older, time changes you, and now I've kind of come around. And I actually like the saga now, having watched it all. I actually like the whole saga, the way it kind of flows. I can't wait till episode 9 is out.
You come
and watch
around
it all
on Jar
together.
Jar?
Never.
I love Jar Jar in the original.
I like Jar Jar.
So that's my rant and rave.
I like Jar Jar.
Jar Jar is awesome.
Matt Aguilar.
Misa.
Oh my god. Matt Aguilar, you were on our last podcast where Charlie originally gave a breakdown, his mea culpa
About
review of Aladdin. Now that Aladdin's officially a success, you've been the biggest champion of it in this office, and you got to see it this weekend.
Yes, I went and saw it with who arguably is my wife is actually an even bigger fan. This is her favorite Disney movie ever made. Jasmine is her favorite. So I went with someone who has sky high expectations, and then I had big expectations. And we both came out of the movie and we just it was just a magical thing. There was a ton of clapping in our audience. Yeah, it's such a cool feeling. And I just think and I said this kind of last time, I think this movie became very popular to just take pot shots at. Some movies just have that knack, and they just become
Sonic.
they become a punchline. But in this case, if you go in without skewed, if you go in without a skewed opinion and you just look at everything and how it is, and it all comes together. There was one scene, the Prince Ali scene, which was totally just beaten with a shovel once it hit on social media. You watch that scene in context with how everything is kind of from the scenes before and the scenes after, and how that scene plays out, and it feels completely natural. It doesn't. It's oh, we had fun. We were everyone's kind of dancing along, and then it ends, and you don't feel like it's this awkward thing because context matters, right? A movie is made as a whole, not as just one little snippet. So there was a ton of those in the movie. I thought some of the new additions were wonderful. I thought Nassim Pedrad killed it. As the new character Dahlia, which again is added in to give a new layer to Jasmine's story. I already liked Jasmine in the original animated movie. I thought she was a great character to begin with, but they just add more on. And her story, her natural progression, wanting to be a sultan and everything, makes complete sense in this modern era. So again, I love the new song, Speechless, parts 1 and 2 were fantastic. Will Smith kills this. He's wonderful, and he's just completely Will Smith. There's one point, and they've shown pieces of it in the trailer, but you think you're listening to Big Willie style at some points during these things, but it feels completely organic to just him. It's not forced. It just feels great. So this movie's just magical.
During the Big Willie
So based
era.
on the success of Aladdin, the upcoming inevitable success of The Lion King, and then the success of Beauty and the Beast recently in these films, how long until we see A Bug's Life in live action?
Oh man. Well, but that's Pixar.
Well, It's
So
Disney
I don't
now.
know how long. Well, I'm just saying I don't know
I don't
how
know
long the.
Pixar will let their
Like I don't know if
IP.
there's like a deal in place or something. Maybe they
Right.
can't touch them because they
I'm
haven't
sure
touched
Pixar
them yet.
has that worked out.
But
Yeah.
man, that would be awesome because there are like 5 Pixar movies
I'm ready,
I would
I'm
love
ready
to see.
Yeah.
Give
some
me a
angry
Wall-E.
grasshoppers.
Give me a Wall-E live action.
Oh,
I'm totally
man.
into that. But yeah, it's a magical thing. I loved it. I just came out of this with a big smile on my face. It was awesome. It was
All right.
great.
So
that was a rave.
Yep.
That was a rave.
That was a rave. My second rave from this week is actually comics. Talk a little comics real quick.
Is in the title of the show.
Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's kind of last, from what I understand, kind of their final Batman story, once it's all said and done, is The Last Night on Earth. And we had kind of talked about this.
Yeah, we talked about the trailer.
Yeah, last time. And after reading the first issue comes out today. It's also from their Black Label print. So, and thankfully, there's no like Batman damned. Oh, hey, he's showing his junk for no apparent reason. Like the stuff that's maturing here feels natural. It doesn't feel forced. There's a couple curse words in here. There's a couple of more graphic things, but again, it's not just for the sake of doing it. It feels natural to the environment and the story. No, yeah. And this really feels like DC's Old Man Logan, which is not bad because I loved Old Man Logan, the original series, Mark Millar's original Old Man Logan series, not the ongoing and all that they killed all the momentum with. But the original storyline, this is interesting. They introduce compelling mystery at the center of it. Batman, it's amazing to see the lengths that Batman goes to like there's one thing, and I don't want to spoil it, but it's so like it's on the edge of like Batman shark repellent, like from the 66 series of like, you really like, it's just the plot needed this. And so Batman did it. But again, it fits with everything else because everything's so outlandish. It's really good. You should definitely check it out. This is one I wholeheartedly recommend.
Last Night on Earth, we've been saying this has the makings of a very classic DC/Batman storyline. And
It's gorgeous.
yeah, and it sounds like it's off to a good start. So,
Yep.
all right, man. Brandon Davis.
Okay, I'll start with a quick rave. I feel like this has probably been covered. I know I'm late on it, but John Wick Chapter 3 saw it over the weekend with my mom. Amazing film. The action sequences in that, the use of animals, Halle Berry, Keanu Reeves, Chad Stahelski directed it, right? Mm-hmm. Man, I knocked it out. That fight in the beginning with the axes, that was a continuous shot. So impressively choreographed. I mean, it had to be at least 40 seconds without the camera cutting, and these guys were going at it. I cannot imagine how long that took to rehearse, how long it took to make sure nobody lost a finger until later in the movie. And it was just a a hugely entertaining film, especially with the action. So I just wanted to rave about John Wick Chapter 3. Send a big shout out. I'm a huge Keanu Reeves fan. Also, if you saw the story about him with the autograph at the movie theater that was going viral on Twitter recently, that was really cool too.
I did not see that story.
Can I tell it? Can I take 30 seconds? Dude, so there's a story. I don't know who he was. Some guy on Twitter. He's a journalist now. No disrespect. I just don't remember his name. He worked in a movie theater when he was a teenager. Guy walked up with a motorcycle helmet on, took it off. It was Keanu Reeves. And he was like, oh my God, it's Keanu Reeves. I'm going to get his autograph. This is the coolest thing ever. So he said, I'm going to give you the employee discount when Keanu Reeves bought a movie ticket. And Keanu said, I don't work here. So he said, sorry. And he panicked and he was like, crap, I just blew it. I'm not going to get his autograph. And he gave him his ticket. Keanu Reeves walked in the theater and he never saw him. And then 5 minutes later, someone knocked on the door to the back side of the box office. And he had an ice cream cone in one hand and a piece of paper in the other. And he said, hey, kid, I realized you probably just wanted my autograph. So he handed him a piece of receipt paper with his autograph on it. And then he threw out the ice cream cone and walked away. And the receipt was for an ice cream cone. So he bought the ice cream cone just to sign it and give the kid at the box office his autograph. What a guy. What a freaking guy. That's amazing. Anyway, I would like to rant about The Walking Dead. I'm always on The Walking Dead's team. I love the people who make the show. But Robert Kirkman, what are you doing, buddy? I feel like he's all but checked out on the show. I don't even know if he has creative input on the show anymore. I don't know. I'm not saying he doesn't. I'm just not saying he does. But with the comics, buddy, you have the complete control. Why are you doing what you're doing? If you're reading the Walking Dead comics, you know this. It's a spoiler. If you're not, too bad. You're never going to catch up. They shot Rick Grimes in the heart. 191 issues into this book. More than 15 years into this book, Rick Grimes has been the main character of the book. We've always had the books.
If you haven't been reading, he's shot through the heart, and now it's too late.
If you don't read the books, if you watch the show and you get frustrated when there's a bad episode or a couple bad seasons or something, it's always like, all right, well, we have the books. The books are good. We don't even have the books anymore. The books are done. I'm out. No, I'm so mad about this. and he's gonna die in the next issue. Like Rick Grimes is gonna die. You just took out the character who's been carrying the series. Is it impossible for the series to be interesting after this? No. Is it likely it will be interesting for me? I don't care anymore. You know what? You have Michonne there, sure. You have Carl there, great. Andrea's dead. Rick is dead. What am I here for? We've been at the Commonwealth for 3 years now, or too long, almost 3 years now. I've been taking my time, and it's always the same thing. The last page is a cliffhanger, and then it's like, okay, great. Now I have to read next week's issue, and then or next month's issue. Then you wait a month, you pick up the issue, and it's like, oh, great. That cliffhanger had absolutely no payoff 8 times out of 10. So I'm a little pissed off right now. I've been sticking with The Walking Dead through thick and thin, but killing Rick Grimes to me is a huge mistake. Prove me wrong. Please prove me wrong. But I don't support it.
Wow.
I'm angry.
It doesn't come through.
Tell them how you feel, son.
Now,
Tell them why you mad, son. No,
I
I'm
do
not
have a
happy.
question as far as like, do you think this is the fresh take that it needs? Because
No, it doesn't
you
need a
haven't
fresh
liked
take.
it with Rick.
No,
And
but no, the comics had been very interesting when they went to this Commonwealth community and they introduced a new sort of feud that wasn't going to be a war with soldiers getting killed. It was going to be a political fight. It had so much potential, and it has since just been so slow, and so little has happened. Rick shot Dwight in the head to make sure he maintained this peace with Pamela Milton, the leader of the Commonwealth, and it was shocking. And we just haven't seen developments. We haven't seen anything move. It's been years. Negan is not even in the book anymore, and he became one of the most interesting characters, and he's not in the book anymore. His relationship with Rick was was the best content Kirkman ever put in the book. Was Rick and Negan together, having to work together, and he just said, "No, we don't want to do it anymore." I guess because Rick's gonna die. They keep saying, "Oh, Negan might never come back." It seems like Negan really might never come back now. I was always like, oh, yeah, you say that.
bring him
It
back.
really seems like Negan probably might never come back. And if he does, Rick's not there. So what, is Negan going to have a dynamic with Carl now? He already had. Great. It's very frustrating. The Commonwealth stuff had a huge potential. That was the shot of life the book needed. There are huge changes coming to the book. Very, very big changes coming to the book. Will they be interesting enough without Rick? I don't know. We'll see. I hope I'm wrong.
So,
I love the
our
title.
final takeaway is Robert Kirkman, maybe not the master of political intrigue that The Walking Dead needed at a key time. So, that'll do it for our rants and raves and for the show as a whole. If you are just getting turned on to Comic Book Nation, we post new episodes every Wednesday and Friday on Comicbook.com, where you can subscribe to our RSS feed. You can also find us on a bunch of other platforms like iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher Radio, iHeartRadio, Google Playlist, Google Podcast, or you can tell any Amazon Alexa-powered device to play Comic Book Nation podcast, and it'll fire up an episode for you. If you hear anything you want to talk with us about, you can always find us on social media at the hashtag Comic Book Nation, where you should also go for new announcements and whatnot about the show. Or you can contact us individually. You can find me at Kofi Outlaw.
You can find me at Matt Aguilar CB.
You can find me at Brandon Davis BD.
And if you like the show and want to leave us a positive 5-star review, we read reviews semi-regularly, and we'll send you some comic book swag when we read your review on the show.
By the way, I did not forget White Mamba. I am going to send you those comic recommendations. I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, number one fan, White Mama, got to take care of you.
Not forget.
Also, I'm going to throw one out here. If you guys want to start throwing us some questions, we will start doing some Q&As for you. We will answer whatever you want to answer about the show that we are legally allowed to. So throw us your questions, and we will put them together for a Q&A session on the show.
Oh, yeah.
All right, that'll do it for this episode of Comic Book Nation. We'll see you back real soon for our next episode. Take care out there.
You know.